here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right. You are listening to the home of conservative, not bitter talk and education, folks, as we're talking here today a little bit. We'll venture into a discussion on Conservative Not Bitter University, CNBU, as we call it here, as we look at the importance of passing along those conservative ideas and principles to the next generation. President Reagan told us that freedom is always one generation away from extinction. Folks, we know what we're up against. We know that there's a movement towards revolution. We've talked even earlier this week about the leaders of Black Lives Matter being trained Marxists. That means that they're trained. They have been educated and equipped and prepared to know how to take advantage and to create circumstances that advance Marxism. That's what that means. Marxism, communism, the antithesis of what America is. The antithesis of how America was founded to be. And so the ideology that founded this great nation, built upon liberty, the Constitution, conservative principles and values, is under all-out assault from all different angles. And we've got to figure out a way. Reagan said it's always one generation away from extinction as it is freedom. And so we've got to find a way to preserve that, pass that along, this reverence and respect for constitutional principles and values and the truth that our founders discovered. They didn't create it. They discovered it. It was revealed to them. They discovered it. And so that's what this nation is built upon. And no, again, for the record, I always want to make sure I cover this because people take things out of context. I'm speaking I am not including in that, of course, the issue of slavery. That is one, and racial relations and this nation's original treatment of Black Americans, Black people, was reprehensible and evil. We have since corrected that, but I'm talking about the other things. There's plenty of really good ideas that the founders had, some things that they had learned and they built into this government. And so we're going to talk about how to communicate about that, how to ensure that we don't, that's preserved, that's passed along, that gets to the next generation, that gets to your children and grandchildren. These things matter tremendously. And we know that there's a war against these principles and war, folks. I mean, people hate, I don't care what Colin Kaepernick says. I mean, he hates America. When you wear a Fidel Castro t-shirt and a Che t-shirt, you're embracing, again, the antithesis, the opposite of America, the complete opposite. And so kneeling is about that too. They tell us it's about, police harming unarmed Black civilians when they've detained them, arrested them, whatever the case may be, put them in custody, have interactions with them. And obviously discussing and figuring out. And of course, we talked yesterday about how the Senate, Democrats in the Senate, don't even want to talk about it. They've filibustered. Think about that. They filibustered Tim Scott's piece of legislation. Don't even want to talk about it. They would rather keep that a politically relevant issue for them so that they can take advantage of the strife and turmoil that's in this nation right now. So that's something I'm putting to the side. We've talked about that a lot anyway. So I'm not talking about that particular aspect in our nation's history. I'm talking about the other things. I'm talking about the liberty. I'm talking about the founders' understanding of free speech and the freedom to assemble, the freedom to live your life in accordance with your conscience as it pertains to religion, or to not have a religion. Our freedoms to live our lives as we choose, to keep and bear arms, to be secure in our property and our persons so that we're not just randomly searched and having things seized by the government, whether that be state, local, well, of course, the federal constitution dealing with federal issues, but building this idea that says the government shouldn't be about the business of just randomly, just forcing people to comply with things because they think maybe they might catch you doing something illegal. People should be able to live their lives securely without having really the threat of government intervening. And there's lots of other principles. The idea that as many decisions as possible should be forced down to the, kept from getting to the federal government, should be reserved by the states and by the people. That's in the 10th Amendment. And so these freedoms and these ideas that have been enumerated are important, and they're under assault. All of these things are under assault in some way, shape, manner, or form. And a lot of times throughout my lifetime, originally these attacks were levied kind of under the guise of something else, or they were done covertly. They were not done in the open. They were done kind of secretively or under the guise of something else. Now people feel completely emboldened to say, I'm a Marxist, trained Marxist. Two of the three founders of Black Lives Matter. I still, just for that to register is to say that is quite astonishing if you stop and think about it. Here in the United States of America, to be openly Marxist, it wasn't that long ago on the timeline of history that we had another problem called McCarthyism, where someone would be branded a communist by Joseph McCarthy or others that had that same kind of mentality. And that would ruin their lives because they were a communist. Now, I'm not applauding what McCarthyism was. I'm just saying there was a time when that was harmful. Now it's something that we're apparently supposed to think is revolutionary and progressive. And that's what it comes down to. So that's what we're up against. So I guess first you have to know your opponent. You have to know what they're being told, what they're being taught. That's important. And then, look, I think some people think they're not doing something unless they have some massive following, right? They've got to have some big Facebook group. They got to be bold. They've got to cause a stir. They've got to, challenge the status quo. They have to do things that are, they have to be effectively a shock jock or whatever. That's not true. We're all different. We're all different. I'm wired differently than than most other talk show hosts. That's why we just do things, I think, a little bit differently here. And we all have to be who we are. That's part of it. What our gifts and talents and abilities are. For those of us who are Christian, we would say the things that God has blessed us with, the way that the areas that God has called us in, the things that God has gifted us with and called us to do. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're maybe you're a business owner. You just have, you know a lot of people. You can be influential in your circle. Maybe you don't have a lot of people in that circle of influence, but you have someone. I'll tell you what, if you're a parent, you've got that little one or those little ones under your sphere of influence. If you're a leader at a church, you have people under your influence. And I'm not trying to say to inject politics into religious discussions, but folks, today, what people have termed politics today is much more about culture than it is about politics. It's not about, once upon a time, they would say politics ends at the water's edge, meaning that we would fight about domestic issues, but when it came down to it, anything external, those sides would, I'm not sure this was ever really true, but the sides would join together to fight off any foe, and we would just quibble over domestic issues. Now we're quibbling over foundational issues. Now we're calling into question things that I would say are rooted even into biblical truths. Now we're talking about embracing ideas that are the antithesis of what it means to be American. And I think that there's those principles, there's certainly a lot of biblical principles that overlap with the conservative. In fact, I would say I think that, of course, you don't have to be a Christian to be a conservative. I think that needs to be stated. But I do think to fully understand freedom, and to be complete, I think that a relationship with God is, I think it's a critical thing. And if you're not, you're not a Christian. I'm not trying to say you can certainly have that choice and that you can disagree vehemently with me. I'm just simply saying, when you understand freedom through the biblical lens, none of us are truly free until we accept Christ. That's when freedom really begins. But in a more general sense, yes, we can be free to live our lives without government intrusion and not be a Christian. So yes, we're on the same page there. I'm just saying to fully, I think, embrace and to understand and to, I guess, accept or to, I don't know, just to fully embrace freedom. I think the Christian part of that's an essential component as well. But I'm going to put that aside for the moment, even though that's critically important, I think, for the individual. But let's just talk about freedom from big government and freedom to choose to live our lives as we see fit, right? I think that's really what constitutional conservatism is. It's not about just holding on to things in the past because they're tradition. It's not simply wanting to resist change. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do instead with embracing truth. When we have discovered something that is true and that is fundamentally sound, then we protect it. We don't want to change that. I mean, sure, we might be, if you look at it as though it's a target and there's a series of concentric circles, and inside the middle you have the bullseye. I mean, maybe we're inside the second circle, but not in a bullseye on a certain principle, and you can adjust to that level. You can, maybe our understanding of a certain freedom needs to be slightly adjusted, not radically changed, but to include something else we didn't understand before. That's certainly possible. But to say that we're on the wrong target and we need to throw that target away and to replace it with something else, Marxism, for example, that can't happen. That's a ludicrous. That's a radical change. That's a change, at least in the minds of some people, a change for the sake of change. Change is not always good. If you change from something that's fundamentally good and true, like the principle of free speech, for example, the principle of freedom of religion, if you change and go to something else, even though you've changed in a very bad way. You're changing away from something that's fundamentally sound and true and moving towards something that is not good. That is not good. If you're moving away from choices that we can make that don't directly impact, I don't mean in some theoretical way or through some convoluted, logical way of thinking, but directly impact someone else's life, liberty, and property, then that's a different discussion. But if it's a choice that doesn't, those choices should be defended with everything that we've got, even if we disagree with the way that the person exercises the choice that we've fought so hard for their right to keep. That's why I don't like a lot of these little laws that we've seen government implement over the years. Even if it's something I wouldn't personally do, I would tell my kids, to, let's say seatbelt laws. Seatbelt laws drive me insane. They really do. Oh, Todd, you want to be dangerous? No, it's not I don't want to be dangerous. I choose to wear my seatbelt, and I tell my kids to wear their seatbelt. But I don't like the idea of the government telling someone to do something when it's not infringing upon anyone else's life, liberty, or property. I just don't like that. Pretty simple to me. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of things are a good idea. But I don't think they should be law. I think someone else should be able to say, I don't agree with Todd's ideas. That seems to be a radical thing to say today. Everyone says, not everyone, but it seems to me that a lot of people say, my way is best, and so everyone must adhere to it by force of law. I mean, that's what liberalism is, folks. They want to take away these choices and say, this is how you're going to live. There's going to be a bureaucratic state that's going to force you to comply with our crazy ideas. And the other thing is their ideas are crazy on top of that. It's not just that they're forcing us to comply with them, it's that they're rooted in craziness to begin with. That's not what conservatism is. Conservatism is believing in the right of the individual to choose. That's what conservatism ultimately is. It's lifting up the smallest minority you can have, which is the individual. And that's what liberty is. Liberty is saying these are the things that each and every individual human being has given to them by their creator, not by their government. And they have these freedoms that they can exercise, even exercise in ways that we don't like. Now, when the way that they exercise directly impacts someone else's life, liberty, property, then laws can be made to do something about that. But when they don't, people should be able to live their lives as they choose to live their lives. And this is a concept that our founders, embraced. Now, they wanted society to be moral. They knew that when you took away the government's ability or desire to legislate morality, that they still understood that you need moral people, but that there's another way to get there. And that's where the power of individual choice and the power of the church, they wanted to see it, and a lot of them wanted to see a religious people. They shouldn't be forced to be religious, but they hoped that people would embrace religious principles and even know Jesus, right? I mean, this was a lot of these folks, half of these folks attended seminary school, and they weren't just educated as Christians. They studied things like theology and how to be pastors and that sort of thing. And so again, they understood people can't be forced, nor should they be forced to have a certain relationship or with God or to a certain religion, but they did believe that if they chose those things, if enough people chose those things and were transformed and were living moral lives, that was good for the society. And government, I'm hesitant here because government its nature is to grow, but if people were living good lives, there's less of a pressure to try to legislate morality, at least in theory. I don't know if that turns out to be the case in practice because, again, government wants to control everything. So we have to preserve this, though. We have to explain the differences, understand who we are, understand what we're up against, and then articulate that. But not just articulate that. We have to do it. There's an art to this, and that's what I want to talk about here next segment. How to persuade people who don't agree with those things that I just said. How to persuade people who are self-identified liberals, or they don't know what they are. They just have been told that conservatives are terrible people, evil, racist, bigoted, whatever, sexist. But we have to find a way to preserve this. Since freedom is only a generation away from extinction, it's our job to pass it on, to pass that baton on to our children and to our grandchildren. And so I want to talk about that. We talked a little bit about it last hour, but I want to talk about it a little bit more detail, give myself more time this hour. So we'll talk about that when we get back. Sit tight. You're listening to Conservative, Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indydecorativeconcrete.com. www.indydecorativeconcrete.com.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the words. For on time.
Are you an electrician, plumber, or handyman looking for an 8-to-5 job that pays you what you're worth? Copper Ridge Home Services wants you. Our veteran-owned family business offers holiday pay, weekends off, and on-site training for entry-level positions. Our team is growing, so if you have a can-do attitude, we want you to be part of that growth. Ready for a change? Give Copper Ridge a call at 317-839-6100. That's 317-839-6100. Copper Ridge Home Services. We value your time.
Outside of the federal government, no one likes losing money. Any amount of money, not just the $6 billion the State Department lost. And what makes losing money worse is knowing that we could have done something to stop it. Well, if you have an inefficient furnace, a toilet that won't stop running, or a leaky faucet, you can do something about it. You can call the good folks at Economy Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Call 317-831-5279 or visit economyheatingandair.com.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't. And Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
Welcome back. I should mention here the program is brought to you in part by our good friends at Economy Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. We're officially in summer now. I love it. I love the sun being up until, heck, it doesn't get dark here till practically 10 o'clock. Even though I go to bed early, well, sometimes. Makes it a little bit tough. I love it. But it will get hot here in central Indiana if you're worried about your air conditioning keeping up, or maybe you need to have some service done. Consider our friends at Economy Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. You can find out more information on their website, economyheatingandair.com. That's economyheatingandair.com. Jod and his team will take good care of you. Great guy. I think a lot of him personally. And I think they run a great operation over there. And check them out, economyheatingandair.com. So I want to go through now some of the things that I've learned. And maybe I should tell you really briefly that I was a student at American University back in 1999. I was the only vocal conservative, the only total conservative. There were a couple of people who were fiscal conservatives in there, but I was the only one that was that embraced the social conservative side, if you want to look at it that way. But anyhow, so look, when you're, it got intense, folks. And not that's been a while ago, but that's really where I learned some of this stuff. And then since that time, and some of the things that I've, doing a talk show, being a conservative talk show host, you obviously can draw the ire of some people. And I'll tell you, it's not as many as you might think, but I certainly have been called things and whatever. I don't really particularly care. If someone wants to say bad things about me after listening to this program, look, you could disagree with what I'm saying, but I just think that there's no real reason for you to be angry at the conservative, not bitter approach, because it's not divisive at all. And these folks are just people who are angry at life, and it doesn't really bother me. No, I mean, for them, I think how pathetic it is to live like that. But and hopefully they change, and we can at least have a conversation. But we all have those people. Some people are not going to be able to have a conversation with you about this, and that's important to know too. There's some people by relationship. And I've said before, there's some things that only my wife can tell me, and there's some things that anybody can tell me besides my wife, right? We all can relate to this. There's some things that as a parent have to come from me to a kid, to one of our children, not just some random kid, but one of our 3 children. There's some things as a parent only I can really say to them. And there's some things that anyone in the world is better equipped to say to them than me. And so there will be people that you cannot engage about this, and you have to be wise about that. There's no need in forcing the subject. Just be a good person, right? I'm just, if they want to engage, listen. And again, I think the starting point is listening and empathy. Empathy just means that you try to relate, you try to understand and feel it and see it from their perspective. It doesn't mean that you agree. It doesn't mean that you change your opinions or that you have to abandon truth. It just means that you're human. You understand. You build this bond. And I would say this too. Whenever the conversation begins, if it leads to a conversation, I would say to wait. Let them tell you what they think first. Draw things out with questions. I mean, Jesus always spoke in questions. Remember Socrates, the Socratic method? There's a reason that he did that. Speaking in questions is a very, very good thing to be able to be skilled at. And I think we have to get better at that. And so I think we have to earn the right to tell people what we think, to make declarative statements. If you can't say it as a question, then don't say it until you know you've earned the right to say something about it. And again, we should focus on persuasion, not winning the argument. I think conservative folks, we are oftentimes, goal-oriented, or we're people in the conservative business community where, there's things that we want to accomplish or whatever. I think that sometimes, not for all conservatives, but there's certainly a group of conservatives that say, won that argument. Well, is it about winning the argument, or is it about convincing and persuading the person that we're speaking with? Ramsey says an old saying on his program that I think applies here: those convinced against their will are of the same opinion still. So you just can't come in, both guns a-blazing, brute force the first time you meet someone, have an intense, fiery conversation that you won the debate, that I won the debate, pounding my chest, high-fiving my buddies, and expect that to really persuade somebody, right? The Bible tells us to be as wise as serpents, but as gentle as doves. To be graceful. It doesn't have to be a fight. There is a time. Look, there is a time to fight. I think conservative, not bitter, doesn't mean that we don't recognize there's a time to fight. It's just typically we don't have to fight. We have to be prepared to fight for our liberties and for the foundational principles of this nation, right? And I'm just talking like in an argumentative fashion. I'm not even talking about like grab at arms or something like that. Although if we're being forced by our government, if they're coming in to physically force us to do something that's against our freedoms, then that's another conversation. The founders even expected people to be prepared to do that in a worst case scenario. But hopefully we can avoid all that by having these other discussions and conversations before that point. But we've seen the government expand in power. But if we're trying to persuade and convince other people, the best thing to do is to focus on persuading them and not simply not simply winning the argument. Winning the argument puts the focus back on us. Persuading them requires that we understand what they're saying, where they're coming from. And I got a couple stories on that, actually. Stories. I think I've shared one of these on here before, but I want to talk about those next break. Oz is telling me it's time to take a time out, and she would be correct. So I want to share a couple of little anecdotes here as we're kind of going through some of the high points of how to persuade other folks. And by the way, I should mention, if you're interested in exploring this deeper, going through this kind of issue by issue or point by point and kind of digging deeper and learning the skills, ways to become more persuasive, then Conservative Not Bitter University may be for you. And to find out more information about that, text the word COURSE, 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 to 888-111. And as we begin to put this together and get this ready to go, you will be alerted as to when that will launch, and you can participate in CNBU. So quick timeout. Come back and continue this discussion after the break. See you here in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We've found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS, too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable, flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
Welcome back. Now, I want to say something here. I don't mean to imply at all that I've got all this figured out. That's not it at all. I'm simply saying that I've learned some things along the way through my years in college, through my the process of getting to do this program, and then the challenges. Think about it. I mean, when you say, "Hi, my name's Todd," and they say, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And I say, "Well, I host a conservative talk show." Now, if they're liberal, especially if they're the venomous type of liberal, which isn't all liberals, by the way, but they certainly exist, if the immediate thought is, "Oh, it's one of you guys." So to be able, I'm telling you, I handled the right way, we can find a way to get along with almost anybody. Some people are not possible to get along with, especially those that want to radically transform this nation into Marxism, like the founders of Black Lives Matter. Oz just told me during the break, one of them has written a manifesto. I cannot wait to read this gem. Anyway, so I want to share, though, my experiences, and they're just my experiences. There's a girl that that actually was selling for us. I've mentioned this on this program before, but I want to share this. I'm not going to say her name, but she was selling for us. And when she identified herself as a liberal Democrat, I said, that's fine. At the time, I was still working with my dear friend, the Hippie Lib. So the Hippie Lib worked here too. Hippie Lib's busy with other things and has a growing family and so forth, but I'm still friends with the Hippie Lib. That's what she wants me to call her, the Hippie Lib as well. And so having a, quote, liberal Democrat salesperson didn't bother me either. And I think this kind of interested this particular individual. And so I think the first couple times we met, I think she wanted to fight about politics. And I just wouldn't. I refused. I just let her talk. I sat there and listened. Thought half of it was crazy. Thought she had some good things to say. And it was interesting because I could almost see the demeanor change at some point. She finally asked me, what do you think about this? Or there was something where she wanted to engage my feedback. And so I told her, we had a discussion. And so that's kind of how our relationship started. And she's crazy. I love her, but she's crazy. And so I remember one time, this again, how our relationship kind of evolved. I remember one day she told me, she said, Todd, I could never support a conservative Republican, but I could support you. Now, I paused here to say that's not true. She just happened to know me. She happened to understand that, hey, Todd's not a bad guy. I've been told conservatives, hate people or whatever else, or whatever her personal objectives or objections, I should say, were to conservatism. She realized that I didn't fall into that category. Now, if given the same opportunity with the vast majority of you, she would think the same thing about you. So I'm not saying that there's anything special. I'm simply saying that can happen. And I'll add this. She's a pro-Second Amendment liberal Democrat. She's a supporter of the Second. I mean, she's not one of these anti-gun Democrats. And she told, I mean, so we probably found agreement on, it's over half, folks. It's over half of the things. And this is where I get my hope from, because I think if we're that close on issues and we have radically different things that the parties stand for, but if the rank and file really only are embracing a couple of these radical ideas from the left, from the Democrat Party. See, the Democrat Party is a master of getting single-issue voters to support it. If you're pro-choice, you can be conservative in every single other way, but if you're pro-choice, the Democrats can get you on that. If you're a union Democrat, you can be conservative in every other way, but the Democrat Party has figured out how to get you on that. They've gotten you scared. If Republicans run the show, you're going to be in trouble. They're going to destroy all the unions, and you're going to be working for $2 an hour, right? That's how they get people to think. Single-issue voters are a big part of the Democrat Party. It's a hodgepodge. That's why it's such an extreme hodgepodge. You've got radical elements, but they're not all radicals. Some people are just single-issue voters that the Democrats have just owned and convinced them that they're on the right side of. And if that's the case, if I'm right on that, and it, again, is not the case for others, because you got people who are open Marxists, right? And so I don't want to gloss over that, because there's a certain percentage of the population that are not going to listen to anything you have to say, anything I have to say. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's 5%, 10%, 20%, some percentage. But if we take the time to listen and be empathetic, let them explain, if we use questions, if we wait to earn the opportunity to speak to them, to share our beliefs, to make actual statements instead of speaking in questions, folks, I'm telling you, good things can happen. Good things can happen. And sometimes you can't even predict what it'll be. I know many of you can relate to this, but it takes little victories like that along the way. Little victories like that along the way. If for no other reason to put, if she stays Democrat, if she can put pressure on the Democrats to be reasonable in certain areas, to where the radical stuff is not the path that they're taking because their base no longer accepts it, that's good for America and the Constitution as well. But we've got to find a way to proclaim these truths, connect with people, treat them as human beings, care for them, love them, dare I say, and communicate in ways that is effective. And yelling or having the best meme on social media, while that's fun and entertaining, and I'm not saying you should never do that, but we should spend more time, if we really want to move the needle, we should spend more time persuading individual people right where you are, and you can do that even today. If you need help with that, want to learn more, dig into this deeper, have a kind of it'll be a course, it'll be a program. That's what CNBU, Conservative Not Bitter University, is. You can learn more about that, and we'll get you information on when we're launching that by texting the word course, COURSE, to 888-111. And I've got to take a time out. You're listening here to the home of Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at zuluscape.com.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't, and Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
Welcome back. I appreciate you giving me time today to kind of talk about this. I know we normally explore the issues of the day, the news cycle, and there's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of stuff out there. In fact, I might add that I've had some people tell me that they've reached the point of exhaustion with news. A lot of people are turning some things off. They don't want to hear what's going on. And it's not because they want to put their head in the sand. It's just that this has been a lot to deal with. We've gone from impeachment. You remember the president was impeached back in actually December. He was impeached in the House, was acquitted in the Senate was it late January, I guess it was, even though the Democrats tried to drag that out. Remember that. Then we go straight to COVID. Then we go straight to these protests and riots. And now we're back to COVID as we see some outbreaks. Indiana, actually, right now, and of course this is subject to change, but Indiana seems to be faring well as it pertains to this. I don't know if this is considered, I don't know if this is the second wave. This is, I guess, the extension of the first wave. We had a bit of a reprieve. I don't know. But this is, this is becoming news again. So it's exhausting for people. I would say everything that we talked about today, in my opinion, the things that we covered on today's program, both in hour 1 and hour 2, the importance of being a persuasive conservative, I think all of those things, all this today's discussion supersedes what we talk about. This is the foundation of anything we talk about on any particular day. So when we talk about a particular issue, as we will on Monday, several issues, whatever the case may be, what we talked about today, actually doing something with it, trying to persuade people to accept the constitutionally conservative viewpoint, and there may be a couple of variations of the viewpoint. I don't mean to say that it's monolithic, but to be able to persuade people towards these principles and values is really the foundation upon which this program is built. It's about moving the needle ultimately. It's not just about ranting and raving about things, the issues of the day. It's about actually getting freedom to pass on to the next generation. So I appreciate you indulging me. I appreciate you hearing me talk about Conservative Not Bitter University. And again, if that's of interest to you, you can simply text the word course to 888-111 and you'll get more information on Conservative Not Bitter University as well. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you'll get information as well about Conservative Not Bitter University, CNBU, where we explore these things in greater detail. I help coach and explain and train people how to be more persuasive conservatives, because that's what we've got to do. We've got to get this out and one at a time persuade conservatives or persuade people to be conservatives around this nation. So you can also find information if you're a newsletter subscriber, which you can subscribe for free, toddhuffshow.com/subscribe, or you can text, there's another text number there, text the word Huff to 31996. And I got to take a break. Come back and wrap up for the week. Sit tight, be back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
Are you concerned about your investments? Intrepid Financial has been educating, customizing, and servicing Hoosier investment portfolios since 1998. Our family-owned and operated business builds strong bonds with our clients. When you call, we answer the phone, always ready to walk you through your investment strategy. Intrepid means without fear. We want our clients to be fearless, to feel secure with their investments. Give us a call at 317-818-1776 or visit us online at intrepidfinancial.com.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, president of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 down, $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, Freije, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee & Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
You know, I'm going to exercise empathy here and tell you that I can empathize with the feelings you have right now. This has to be the low point of the morning for you, knowing that this is the end of the program for the week. And I understand that, and I empathize deeply. That's why we've added a second hour here. And but look, I hope you have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. If you want to hear archives of the show, you can go to toddhuffshow.com/listen. And but we'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much for listening. SDG. See you Monday. Take care. As a